Like I almost turned that off because there's all this other talk of like religious talk. But like I just kept telling myself, there's too much wisdom in here to pick through. And man, was there? There's so much wisdom in this. Every time a new book drops on there, I listen to it. The Power of Awareness is amazing. The Secret of Success, The Life Power and How to Use It. That one is fire. These things are like 3 and 4 hours long too, some of them. And I figure like what time, like what, how much time do we waste scrolling or doing whatever? And that's why I was like thanking for those who stuck around, who are just kind of leveling up their consciousness. Just this is, in my opinion, what we should be doing, like consistently educating ourselves in stuff in areas we don't know that can help us, level up in the way that we think and get rid of the way that we were trained to think so we can start thinking on our own. And there's like a mix of all kinds of stuff in this. So there's a little bit of stuff for everybody. And there, you just have to learn whether you're reading something, whether you're listening to something, to be able to just extract what resonates and leave what, doesn't behind. Because like some people will hear certain phrases or religious things or tones and they'll just completely just tune it out and miss exactly what they've been asking for. You know what I'm saying? We'll ask for all these things, and then whenever it shows up, we'll dismiss it because it doesn't fit in our box. It doesn't go along with exactly the programming and the way that we think, and we'll just dismiss it because it'll, we were told not to listen to this or whatever, fill in the blank. You just have to be able to learn to freaking extract the wisdom from whatever you're listening to or reading to. I took a couple of notes from this. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do something with this stuff later. I wrote down, if you outgrow something or someone, why persist in trying to fit? Like, why do we try to make things fit? When we outgrow things, something, it was something they said something earlier in that book. When we outgrow things, it's time to move on. And then that's where I just wrote, if you outgrow something or someone, why persist in trying to make it fit? Why are you trying to make yourself, fitting in a situation that you've clearly outgrown? If your thoughts lead to talking, that do not come into alignment with your actions, stop talking. There's so many people that just, their thoughts get to going, they start talking about doing all this stuff, and then they do nothing. And we see these people year after year, they don't move the needle. I'm not talking about somebody, that's just starting and beginning and is excited and has to speak this stuff into existence from the thoughts, from the imagination into reality, into this realm. You start speaking it, but then you have to follow it up with action. Sooner or later, there has to be some steps. Even if they're little tiny steps, you have to be moving the needle. Otherwise, just stop talking. Just stop, because sooner or later, everybody can just smell it. They see it. Your actions don't align, and it just becomes a shit show. If you believe you can rule with your conscious mind while being unaware, you live a lie. You have to be able to rule. And what the person said, what led me to writing that, was he was talking about you can't be ruled from the bottom. You have to be ruled from the top. He's meaning like your higher conscious, not down here. Your down here areas can't be doing all the thinking for you. Even your heart can't be doing all the thinking for you. Your gut can't be doing all the thinking for you. Like, your conscious mind has to be doing the thinking for you. It has to. If you believe you can rule your conscious mind while being unaware, you live a lie. You can't just go through this thing all unaware. You have to be consciously aware of what's going on. What thought patterns are going through your mind, what's going on around you, why they're going on around you. Like, why are you placing yourself in situations and circumstances that you shouldn't? You can't just dismiss those, or you just live a lie. Because if you're ruled with your conscious mind, you're completely aware. And then once you build up consistency, you'll have the power to act. So like, you have to build up the consistency to be able to act, because we're trained not to. We're trained to live in survival mode. We're trained to repeat on a loop what was, our environment. But once we get to a certain age, like they talk about in this book, like you have to do everything great, even if it's just the smallest of things. If you're in an area or situation in your life that, let's say you're just living in a room, you're living with somebody and all you have is this room, like make it great. Like everything you do about it, make it great and grand, as grand and great as you can. Like you have to do everything great. This is what leads to learning how to do it whenever you have your own house or your own whatever. Like if you don't maintain what you have now, how can you be expected to maintain whatever it is that you're desiring later when you can't even maintain what you're doing now on a great level? That's what this whole thing was talking about. Everything has to be done with greatness. Like I don't believe we can just walk around. There's a book that it's called Christians Can't Be Average, but I don't like labels. I don't like, you just can't be average. You can't expect greatness doing average or below average shit. And that's exactly what we do. And I'm guilty of it too. That's why like this is important to bring into the awareness. Like once you identify the problem, you can't act as if it doesn't exist, because that's where you become the unaware. You live a lie. And you can't just live within a lie comfortably. That's where there's turmoil. That's why there's freaking craziness and confusion going inside, because it's like you're trying to deny what you already know to be true. And there's always going to be chaos and confusion when you always try to deny what you already know to be true. In order to become one with God, and I have God in quotations in my thing because everybody has their different view of it. In order to become one with God, one just needs to recognize you are not separate to begin with. Like literally, the book says it. It's all throughout ancient history. It's not just the Bible. There's so many different, in every freaking ancient manuscript. When you get to the heart of it, you're not separate. Like literally, if the spark of creation is literally like what's causing your heart to beat, how can you be separate from that? That doesn't even make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't have to be what you were sold. That's why I have God in quotations. It doesn't have to be this God that was sold to you that has like a gender and is some, homophobe and all this stuff. Like it's, you just have to get to know you inside, and you already know. When you start treating people other than the way you want to be treated right out of the gate, you already know there's some faulty shit going on. When there's hate involved and stuff, you just know like that shouldn't agree with what's going on inside. Even if somebody's telling it to you ad nauseum, sooner or later you should come to your own conclusions that, hey, it's not cool to treat people other than the way you want to be treated. And if it does, any religion, any kind of teaching, teaches anything other than that, then I don't know what you're trying to be involved in. Desire to rule over others is not of anything divine. The desire to serve, however, is. Because anytime where you think you're trying to rule over people and that is your desire, I'm telling you, you're headed for trouble. Because when you start getting yourself together to a degree and people start following and looking and seeing how you're building, and they start freaking inboxing you and they start coming to you with real life issues, and literally you'll find yourself, people will come to you like literally asking like, how can you help me get to the next stage of my life? And you do not want to be ruling over people. You want to bring the awareness that the power is within themselves to do anything that they need to. Because when people start having this attitude that my way is the best way and you got to do it this way, and it's be careful, because that's a desire to rule over. And if the goal is not to get you to stand on your own 2 feet and get you running, then be very mindful and be very careful, because I don't care who's teaching or how long they've been teaching. Don't nobody need to be up under somebody for any extended period of time, because what they're teaching, if it's solid enough, you should be able to apply it to your life and take and run with it. And you know what I'm saying? That math is what maths for me. You shouldn't, this organized stuff, I'm not saying don't go to a church, don't go to institution. But if you're going to these places, just know that you shouldn't be going there, for years and years and years. All that tells me is you ain't applying that shit. You ain't putting it into your life. But if you're putting it into your life, you don't need to be up under nobody's teaching, because if it's good and it resonates and it's what, is according to what to be true, then you should be able to apply it, and you should be able to take it and multiply it. And that's just how I see that. Like the duty not to rule over others must not be taken lightly. Like, it's not, like I said, it's not to rule over, because those people that are doing that, man, and you're telling people this is how you have to live your life, because some of that don't math to people. Like I've been saying for a long time, some of these things don't apply to other people's lives. So that, like, my life and what I've been through, the stuff I'll speak on will not apply to some people. It won't make no sense to them. It won't resonate with them. And yet some people will be under teachings or be under people's guidance where there's really nothing in common in those areas that are going to help you level up. So you have to seek and find. I'm not talking about seeking and finding like-minded people to tell you what you want to hear. I'm talking about getting around people that can get you to the next level, and then you be able to take it from there. Because if somebody is continuously trying to pour into you the same thing over and over and over, that just means it ain't sticking. And my mentor says all the time, like, just get a new problem. If you keep coming to me with the same problem, and then I'm telling you, this is how you, pretty much, it's always the mirror. But we'll scapegoat we'll do all kinds of freaking mental gymnastics just to get to that point, to just, instead of just coming out and saying it's you, just take care of your business and stop BSing yourself and others, is usually the core issue. But I mean, you have to get around people that want that for you. They want the best for you, and they're not trying to rule over you. Because we all get to where we're going, like on the shoulders of other people, literally, just to a large degree. But it shouldn't stay that way. You should be leading. After a while, you should be leading, and others should be looking how you're building. And you don't do it with the mouth. You just build. You just do it because you're taking what you're learning and you're applying. And people will not be able to resist coming to see how you build, because you're not just doing a bunch of talking, and they see where you were, and now they see where you are, and they're like, dang, man, what is this dude doing? Or how is she moving? How did they, what? They're going to start asking questions, and they're going to want to come see. And even if not, they're going to flip it, and they're going to see it through jealous eyes, and they're going to have to come see how you're building through those lenses. And hopefully, that's why I say you do it more with the actions, because hopefully you'll say something and you'll be doing stuff at the same time that aligns, and it'll cause them to see something, because they're coming to hate. But even your haters are coming, and they're helping your algorithm, and they're coming to see how you're building, because even they're amazed. They're just like, because they're still stuck in that mode that they don't want to be in. They don't know how to stop hating. They don't know how to stop hating themselves. And that's all haters is they don't, it's always a lack of love within yourself when you start hating on other people or start using jealousy in the wrong way. Because if you use jealousy in the right way, and you see something that you could have, or it's all it is seeing something within yourself that you could have, and they have it and you don't. And all it is a reflection and telling you, hey, you need to do, you need to be doing. And you're looking at them instead of going, oh, that's awesome, man. How did you build? I can see myself doing that already. Like, because I see you having it, and now I know I can definitely have it. And like, how did you get that? Or how did you build? Or what's the steps? Or you're looking at it through those lenses versus look at them with that nice stuff. Man, it must be nice to have that nice stuff. I wish I had some nice stuff. Like, if you look at it through them lenses, that's how you're gonna live life, and you're gonna view life like that. It's just, you wake up every day trying to view life through the lens of suck, like that's all you're gonna view life through, literally. The faultiness of a person can easily outshadow all the greatness they've put forth. And we see this all the time. It don't matter how great a person is. It don't matter. Their faultiness can outshadow everything they've done in a blink. In one blink, it can all disappear. And we see it from actors to musicians to just people that once were held in great esteem, but the faultiness within them became more powerful than their greatness. And that one instance, it was all gone in a blink. And I mean, I can name names like Puff Daddy, if you want to say. That's just the name. I don't get into all that, but just from hearing and seeing, it's all over. Like, this man was looked at, Grammys and all this and blah, blah, blah. But a faultiness can get in there and overpower your greatness. And all the greatness that you've ever done up to that point can be wiped out in a blink. It's gone. Poof. So that's why it's careful. You have to be careful how you're building. To meddle in others' affairs devalues the chance to tend to your own. Every single time, man. When people come and they're wanting to talk about so-and-so and this and that, and like you're starting to meddle in others' affairs, like you're literally devaluing all of the time, the energy, and focus that you could be tending to your own. Because of the affairs of ourselves, within ourselves is plenty. That's enough to contend with. That's enough for the day. There's plenty going on within this world before I need to go around trying to mess within this world and that world over here and Trump's world and Diddy's world and all these other worlds, bro. Like, for real, it's way too much. And every time people are meddling and dealing with that, and I got caught up with the election stuff, and I'm in there posting, all this stuff. You guys are voting for slavery, pretty much the same stuff, the same system. And I'm just like, what am I doing, man? Like, I'm really wrapped up in the same energy that everybody else is, just in a self-righteous way, really. I had to go back and delete all that shit. Like, what am I doing, man? Like, really? People are going to come to you looking for some wisdom and knowledge, because that's what your page is usually about. And they're going to come here and listen to you fucking spewing about what everybody else is caught up in. And just because you think, your veil is lifted over your eyes, it's just like, just get out of there. Just get out of that arena altogether. To meddle in others' affairs devalues the chance to tend to your own. And I just got back to business. We got to be able to bring back our focus, man. Whenever we're being ruled by our emotions and it's not of us and we know it's not, you got to be able to bring it back to focus. And I keep saying love is the one that like brings it back. This chick posted, because I said what I said, and she was like, I feel what you're saying, but I'm just trying to attack the day with love. And it was just like, that hit me like, like, yeah. I'm like, here I am spewing forth all this stuff, calling people names. Like, man. And it was like, that's absolutely right. And it just gets you in check and brings everything back to focus. It's nice to vent and, throw out our opinions on stuff. But at the end of the day, it's not changing nothing. And I was sitting there trying to make a point, not really make a difference. And my mentor talks about all that. He talks about that a lot. And like, love will always bring you back into check. I don't give a shit how far you get away. That will bring you back quicker than anything if you just fall in line with it and stop denying it. That's where that struggle comes from, though, because we know what to be true, which is love. Literally, self-accountability is the highest form of love you can have, because if you're doing and holding yourself accountable, you know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna put up with your own BS, and then you ain't gonna put up with nobody else's BS. And you're gonna it's gonna hold the line. And when you step out of bounds of that, ain't nobody got to tell you. I had coffee today with my mentor, and I said it's crazy. You could be in a stadium of 75,000 people, and you'd be the only one that know. You did what you did or said what you said, and you could be going on and passing every one of them, and everybody thinks everything's good, but inside, out of all the 75,000 people, you can't get away from you. Like, who are you playing? Who are you kidding? And it's just like that kind of self-accountability. When you're trying to run from something you can't run from, you already know. You got to deal with the real. You got to deal with the You got to deal with it, or it's going to continue to deal with you in all kinds of nasty ways. Like it literally is. It's just going to deal with you in all kinds of nasty ways until you deal with it and get truthful and honest with it. But that's it. That's my time, man. I'm about to get off here. I've been on here. I let this thing roll for a while, like over 90 minutes. Took some notes, figured I'd just hop on and say hi to my people. No, I can never tell who's in here because it's never honest of how many people's in here or whatever it is. I don't get caught up in the numbers. I'm just glad that somebody was, trying to level up their mind and their consciousness. And everything I'm saying could be full of crap. You know what I'm saying? Don't take everything I'm saying and think it's the gospel or anything like that. Just you know what I said before, like take what resonates and that resonates for a reason. And all the other stuff that made you go, I don't know about all that. Just throw that in the garbage and throw it away. That's as simple as you got to do. And keep it pushing, keep it moving. Like keep leveling up, man. That's what this whole thing is about. Because it's not about everybody else. It can't be about everybody else until you're right. Once you get your world spinning right, man, that's how you affect the world at large. Is you get your stuff together, and I'm telling you, by default, the people around you level up. Like there's a ripple effect that happens. Once you level up, the people in your immediate circle will benefit from that. And that's when the ripple effect starts, because then their life is affected by the change that they needed to see and know was possible because they saw you doing it. And then now they can start to formulate, that kind of same mindset and pattern. And it just ripples. And you never know. All it takes is one person. All it takes is one person to change millions and millions of lives. You just don't know how far that ripple effect goes. But it ripples out farther than you think, man. That's how I got to where I'm at. Is one person spoke in such a way that changed the whole course of my life, and which allowed me to go on and continue to do the same thing for others in multiple different ways. And then they take that and level up, and they take that and level up, and the ripple effect, I'll never know how many lives that I'm going to affect, because it's just generational. It's kids and their kids, and then it's the energy. It's the energy behind it. It's not me per se. It's just the energy behind it that gets propelled forward. All the good stuff. I'm trying to eliminate what is more negative and get more to the positive, so that energy is perpetuated through generations, through the kids, through even like my uncle. I use it as an example. Like his work ethic was so fire. Like his work ethic and my mentor's work ethic is so, like, the proof is in the doing. You know what I'm saying? Like it was undeniable. So it was like that energy that they passed down when they spoken to me, like, this is why I do what I do, and this is how you do it, and you do it with excellence, and you do it with honor, and you do it with integrity. And when you go into people's houses and all those things, like all that energy got passed down to me, which I get to pass down to my kids, which they can pass down to their kids and everybody I come into contact with. And it's just a ripple effect. And that's how you got to view this thing. Like, that's how powerful this is. It's like, you got to get it together. You get you together and quit worrying about all these other people that have to worry about getting themselves together. That's why they ain't together. Because everybody's meddling in everybody's affairs. And I'm talking about not just in like your families and friends' affairs. I'm talking like social media and fucking all this, any of this gossipy stuff, all this stuff that has absolutely no bearing on your life. Like, people can spend all this time, I don't know, however long you guys have been in here, learning and growing your consciousness versus like mindless, feeding your consciousness mindlessness. And it has to be that type of awareness whenever there's gossiping and stuff that's coming into your being and into your presence, and it has nothing to do with, I think I'm better up here than you and you're down here. No, it's just like, I use this analogy. You have one person that is clean and you have one person that's dirty, and they live in the same house, and one person keeps it clean and the other one really doesn't, and you have company come over, whose house side of the house are they going to hang on? Just by default. Which is more appealing? The cleaner side or the dirty side? And just from that aspect alone, it has nothing to do with I'm thinking I'm up here and you're down here. It's just the doing does all the talking. There's no need for the speech. There's no need for anybody to explain anything away because everything is in order. And when everything is in order, whenever your house is in order, it doesn't matter what people say, or you know what I'm saying? No matter how they try to throw mud on your name. It doesn't matter if they try to backbite you it doesn't matter, because all of the doing just starts to stand on its own. And the shit show spectacle that is and that's happening, and that the ones that are the accusers, the devils, the accusers and adversaries, the ones that are being all adversarial, and you're just walking in your light, it can't it has to crumble. Like you just keep doing the right next thing and walking in integrity and honor, and it just all falls apart. It has no choice. So that's why you worried about yourself, always worrying about yourself and how you're building, and everything else works outside of that, like from the inside out. That's how it works. You're building in such a way from the inside that whenever it comes out on the outside, it materializes and nothing can fuck with it. Nothing can stand against it. No matter what, it doesn't. People are going to talk anyway. So, I mean, you just keep building and working on you, and you let them talk. You just let them talk, let them do you. And then all you got to do is just keep building away, and the reality of what they're building and what you're building just starts getting further and further apart until they're just in the rear view mirror, or they've scrolled on or decided to quit messing with you altogether because they realize that it's just. And that's how I've lived my life to a large degree. You just keep building, man. You stop going to the places because it's not serving you. And it like I said, it's not I'm up here and you're down here. It's just I'm no longer going to the places that no longer serve me. And if it's serving you, okay then. Keep telling yourself that lie, because I was doing the same thing, going to the same places, expecting a different result, feeling like crap, having hangovers, all that stuff, man. And then, taking the pictures with everybody looking like on the outside everything was good, but dying a slow, drippy death on the inside, which is the reality of anybody that's drinking consistently. I don't care if you can handle it. And there's people that can go and they can drink and they can handle and pay their bills. And that's cool. That's fine. But there's people that can't do that. There's people like myself will have a couple and it will change the whole chemical makeup of me and have me steal my soul and have my whole soul almost up out of my body. You kidding me? That just ain't for me. And if you're entertaining that, you just have to ask yourself why. What is the need to have to do that every single day? But if it's serving you, there was a time like I remember like gardening. You got to be careful. Gardening like didn't serve a purpose for me, and I stopped for over 8 years because it was like my family doing the job, drug test, all that. The math didn't math. But now it's a different day, and like it serves me fine. But then there's times where it doesn't, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. And then you just know, you follow your knowing. You know what you're doing, why you're doing it. Everybody knows when it starts to get over, because all this whole addiction thing, I can clear that up real quick, is everybody's addicted to something. It's just it's a spectrum. And then we just trade one unhealthy addiction for a healthier one. And then even the one we exchange that is healthy can become unhealthy if we do it, and become addicted to it. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be careful which way you're framing that stuff up, because everybody's addicted to something. And it's not like it's the same struggle. The same person that is obese is I'm together and I'm fit and skinny, but the struggle not to do is still the same. The struggle for me not to have donuts is still the same. The struggle for me not to buy the Skittles and the bag of fucking Doritos is still the same for me as it is the obese person. That's the thing. That's what we're all in this. There's no separation. The essence of us is still the same. We're all fighting the same battles, the same stuff that's going on in this house. I live in a nice house. It is the same house, the same drama that goes on in a, not so nice house. The same struggles, burying people, burying pets, sickness, disease, backbiting, jealousy, molestations going on in houses. Like, come on, man. Just because a person got a big old fat house don't mean nothing. That stuff's going on in them houses, the same houses in the Hollywood Hills. That stuff's still going on. They still got to bury their moms and dads and friends. But that's why it's just simple to focus here. And you turn the mirror here, and you're so worried about building and obtaining the stuff that you need to level your life up. You ain't got time to be worried about how they're building unless you're trying to seek the blueprint of how to build in a similar fashion. But that's it. I think I'm going to jump off here. I've been on here long enough. I got to finish up my laundry. I got all this other stuff cleaned up. And I just put this on because it came on, the Master Key Society. I always listen to this stuff. And at first I almost turned it off because it was a little too religious. But there was so much wisdom and knowledge in there, man. And I'm so glad I didn't cut it off. And anybody that ain't subscribed to the Master Key Society, I'm telling you, go to YouTube and subscribe to that channel. And there's a lot of stuff that starts off kind of slow and boring. But once you get into the meat of it, man, it starts really having you think down different paths of all. And these things are written in the 1800s and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, these things are old. 1952, 1911. Where's that one from 18 something, man? 1906, 1897. In Tune with the Infinite. In Tune with the Infinite is fire, man. And so is The Great Within. And there's there's like 3 different versions of The Great Within that like have different people that are reading it. If you don't like the way one person's reading it, you can switch it up. But yeah, In Tune with the Infinite. That was written in 1897, man. Like that's, and then all it is just talking about getting in tune literally with the infinite possibilities within inside you. The infinite, the consciousness that's within us all. Like it's just infinite. It's only constrained whenever we do it to ourselves, and we're literally taught to do it. We are literally taught to do that from a young age to be in tune with all kinds of other stuff besides inside of ourselves. And that childlike imagination gets crushed. And that childlike imagination is what allows people to believe in the infinite. And I'm almost 46 this month. I'll be 46 at the end of this month, where I'm starting to view life like a child, like everything is new and reference points are new because I'm giving everything new meanings. I'm giving everything new definitions. I've redefined so many different things of the way I view things and the way I'm authoring this thing, and stop looking at it through the lens of what was, just handed down to me. And it makes this life so much more exciting because I'm not living in a box anymore. It's literally infinite. The potential, the consciousness is just infinite. I'm not bound by a book. I'm not bound by somebody's expectations. I'm not bound by anything unless I bind myself. And if you're freaking, you're aware and you're in tune with the infinite within inside you, then you're going to know because you're holding yourself accountable. And this is where it just is so much more power knowing that you are the solution to your problems versus waiting on somebody to come save you, whether it's the government, your mom, your dad, a religious figure, anything. It doesn't matter. When you know the power within you to handle your business and to handle your problems, is you just have to figure out how and create out of that. It's so much more freeing because now you're not wasting your time waiting on somebody to come do it for you. because we get taught, like our parents do stuff for us, then we get to school and they're showing us and telling us how to do stuff, and our jobs are telling us how to do things and how to live and how to be. At like what point in time do you like parent yourself and become the parent of you? Because the same child that looked in the mirror, when you were 5, is the same eyes looking in the mirror today. It's just now you're an adult, and now you can parent all of the stuff that you want to parent, the way that you want to parent, and how, with no, preconceived ideas being forced upon you. You get to just author this thing how you see, based off of your experiences and how you've lived in this life. And it's not based off of anything that anybody's been telling you how to live and how to look and any of that stuff. Because there's always some, even when you're building and getting your shit together, somebody's still going to be like, you'll be 40. Why are you dressing like that? Why are you dressed like that? 40-year-olds dress like that. Like there's an age, like you got to dress like a certain, there's just rules and regulations from all areas coming from everyone but you. And I'll be damned. That shit is no fun. So you might as well just learn how to start writing the rules and regulations for you, to you, that benefits everybody. Because you'll be happy, not living under everybody's expectations. This is the way you need to look. This is the way you need to dress. This is the way how to talk. All these rules and expectations of other people that ain't got nothing to do with nothing of discovering who and what you are. Because once you tap into that, man, I'm telling you, you ain't going to want to treat people faulty. You ain't going to want to talk to them crazy. And if you do, you're going to know it's not satisfactory to you. And you won't just try to act like it ain't a thing. You'll want to find and seek out remedies and stop talking to people crazy and treating people crazy. Because that's how it works. You can't just continue doing what you know to be true and act like there ain't no repercussions to it. And it's just like even a parent that yells at their kids and they knew this is not how they wanted to do. And they're yelling at their kids and they knew this ain't how they wanted them. And yet they find themselves yelling at their kids. You're either going to freaking learn how to not do that anymore, or you're just going to lie to yourself and keep doing it and keep making provision for yourself with justification and compromise. Those are the options, which one option is to live a lie and the other option is to live within the reality that you know to be true. And there ain't nothing you can do with that at all. And I can't come along and tell you, hey, you don't need to be talking to your kids like that. Nobody has to come and tell you that because you already know it to be true within yourself. That's where we get back to meddling in affairs again. Because now I'm meddling, and just because I recognize it, I'm recognizing it because either I've lived through it, I used to do it, or I'm thankful for not doing it. But if you're meddling, you're trying to tell people, hey, you can't be yelling at your kids like that because they already know. You ain't telling nobody they don't already know. They already know that. But you can do it by demonstrating your life. And they could see you, yelling at your kids, and 2 years later you're talking to your kids with respect and treating them with love like they should have been all along, and they see the difference with their eyes and their ears. Now that's a whole different ball game. Now we're talking, because there's always going to be, I done said this in the other thing, we're all hypocrites. We're all walking, breathing, talking hypocrites. I don't care who you are, how great you think you've achieved and how much work you think you've done in your life. You a damn hypocrite. Because sooner or later you can break away from it. But even in the in-between stages, while you're working towards not being a hypocrite, you're going to fall and you're going to be looked at as a hypocrite, but you're still looking and gaining traction and moving away from being a hypocrite. That's the difference. It's the people that don't own that and won't be honest about it and just want to claim not to be a hypocrite ever while never changing the behavior. That's just absurd. And you think you can go to a religious institution and say a Hail Mary or say this or do that and think that's just going to be the end. And it's just madness. Absolute madness. Because everybody knows. Everybody knows when they do bad, or what is considered bad. Because it's only bad on the spectrum that you know it to be true. Because like I said, then you're meddling. And it's a hard thing to do, because once I'm meddling, that's where that whole plank in the eye thing comes into play. Because while I'm trying to meddle with your yelling at your kids or fill in the blank, I'm still ain't dealt with X, Y, or Z over here. So I should just be busy tending to X, Y, and Z instead of me telling you to, because maybe I already leveled up in that area. And so now I'm just looking at you because you haven't. And you're meddling. That's all that is you're meddling. Go meddle around with X, Y, and Z for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. Man, I'm teaching today, boy. Let's go. I got 12% left on my phone, though. So I'm going to have to get up off here. But thanks for hanging out with me again. You know how we do it around here. We like the knowledge and wisdom and leveling up, man. I love it. It just makes me feel good. I'm telling you. Thank you. It just makes me feel like I know, like I know I'm walking in my purpose, like I'm supposed to be doing. Like this is what I've been doing my whole life, just different levels. And now I feel like, man, I'm to this. I feel it's because I'm only doing the work on side, and I don't like talking about it because it feels like, oh, I'm up here and I'm doing all this stuff, but I still be acting a fool. You know what I'm saying? When the camera goes off, man, the camera goes off and life still happens. That's what people just be tripping, thinking that when these cameras go off, that these people are exactly the same. And I'm telling you, life hits you and you'll cuss somebody out and then have to realize, and it'll take sometimes a couple days to make it right or do what, you know what I'm saying? Like the in-between stages, people don't get to see on these apps, all these in-between stages. And we get on these apps and we think this is it. Like their whole life is together. Like they just got it popping and snapping and crackling everywhere. And it's just like, bro, that's not reality. Because life is lifing. And the ones that really do have their shit together, like consistently, do you know what they've been through? Like, do you realize what they've been through to get to that point? Because you can't get to that point without learning and growing and being able to cut your ego off and cut your, putting yourself in check. You can't get to those levels to where people are that consistent, whether the camera's on or off, without doing so much work. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot. It is a lot of work, man. And it's honesty, not just whenever it's all good. Like you gotta be talking about the bad too, because that's reality. When people get on these apps and just everything is all good all the time and they ain't got nothing but positive shit to say, man, they're not being honest, because you can't control moon cycles and the energy pulls. And whenever the consciousness of the earth is in such a way where it's so powerful that it's pulling on your energy too, and you're just along for the ride sometimes, and you're just unaware that that's what's happening, because like if the moon has enough power to like affect the ocean, you don't think it has enough power to affect like the gravitational and the electromagnetic spectrum? And you wonder why you're feeling kind of off, even though everything is good. And you can't, people say, I just don't understand it. Everything's good, but I just feel like there's just something. It's because the energy and the consciousness and what is that called? The Schumann resonance, all that shit matters. And the internal, the stuff that you haven't dealt with, lurking in the shadows that you've pushed so far back that hasn't got, it's way back there. It all matters. But when you take the time to get to know who you are and what you are, man, you'll know this stuff. You'll get to unlocking all these mysteries within yourself that aren't based on what a lot of people. What's cool about educating yourself and making this thing new and fresh, like a kid, and having a childlike imagination, is seeking and educating yourself in a way that's benefiting you to the utmost. You know what I'm saying? I'm not seeking out a bunch of stuff that's going to be depressing and that's filled, that's lies, because this can discern the lie. It can separate what resonates. It's going to resonate for a reason. And then you have to think about why you're thinking about what you're thinking about. Because you can't just read something and just be like, yeah, that's the gospel. Like, that's the truth because it resonates. No, like, why do you think it resonates? Why do you think it's the truth? Is it based on like programming thinking? Or are you getting critical with it and unpacking it and examining it and sitting with it and toiling with it and shit like that? That's what I'm talking about, man. Not just reading something and getting a good feeling, but like seeing, does it really apply? Does this work? How does it correlate? That's just how I frame this stuff up. Because we're taught to just kind of sit and regurgitate or like read and regurgitate what we read, and that's the end of it. And it's so much deeper than that, man. Because then you'll see later on in life whether this stuff starts to apply or not. You'll see the evidence whether it's true or not. That's a part of it. That's part of the ride is reading some of this stuff, the esoteric stuff, and seeing whether it resonates with you and seeing how it unfolds in your life and in the lives of others. Because you're observing. You're constantly observing what's going on around you. That's how this God, what we call God, is omnipresence, because we're constantly observing. And when we know this to be true, when something is watching, when it's being observed, it acts differently. And that's where you're trying to align this thing to where you're the same person, whether somebody's watching you or not, where you could be proud of somebody's watching you or not. That's the real thing. Like, I think I heard it was Cat Williams said something about, can you lay your head down at night? And if you didn't wake up the next day, would you be okay with it? Like, every night you go and lay your head down and be like, yeah, I'm cool with this. Like, if I die, and I can't say that. So like the stuff that I can't say that about, I need to tend to. I need to shore those things up. And it ain't like I'm trying to get up out of here. It's just like, damn, because it could happen in a blink, man. People go to work every single day thinking that's, they're just going to work and they never come home. They didn't plan that shit. And it's like, man, if that were to happen, would I be okay with the way things are with people, places, and things? And the answer is fuck no, I wouldn't. If I'm honest, I could be proud of like a lot of stuff I left behind, but I'm not ready to leave this stuff the way it is. So until I'm secure in that, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I'm trying to like, and it ain't based on and this is stuff that I know. Ain't got nothing to do with I'm thinking about, oh, so-and-so said I should be doing this. I ain't doing none of that shit. It's all stuff that I just know to be true. That if I were to get up out of here today or tomorrow and how things would be with certain people and certain things, I would not be satisfied. And if you can't freaking say the same thing, then you're either denying it and living a lie or you're unaware. Which I don't think is possible. Because I just don't think we don't understand the consequences. We're fully aware of the stuff that we do. We're just don't aware of the consequences. We like, once the consequences and stuff, had we known, then those of us like, damn, that's why we say, man, if I would have known. But it's like people look at you like, but you knew what you was doing. Yeah, we knew what we was doing, but we had no freaking clue the gravity of the consequences or how it would affect when you see another human being and how it looks and their soul is different. You can't fucking prepare for that. I don't give a shit. There's just certain things that you have no idea the consequences. But you know fully damn well what you're doing when you do it. That's where we get it twisted. Because it's like, yeah, don't be faking the funk. You know you did that shit. You know you said that shit. You just really didn't know it was going to affect that shit the way it did that shit. That's the real truth. So just say that. And I could handle that. Somebody saying, I know I did that shit for sure. But I just didn't know it was going to hit you like that or affect you like that or have these kind of consequences. Because you just don't, man. That's why it's called an experience. Because there's things, and I'll use this, right? I can try to tell you what it's like to have a kid, man. But until you hold a kid that's yours, there ain't nothing I can tell you that can prepare you for that shit. The feeling that you feel feelings you ain't never fucking felt before. That's what I'm talking about. You have to have the experience. But you hold your own kid for the first time, and it's like people say, "Yeah, man, I died for you," and like, bro, you ain't never felt a feeling that enveloped your whole being when you're looking into the eyes of your kid, and it's like, you know, in an instant, you would fucking die. You would break through. Man, are you kidding me? You can't put that into words. That's something you can only experience. And some things you just have to have that experience. You just have to go through in order to know. But that's my time, guys. That's pretty heavy shit right there. I got 3% left on my phone. So, one way or another, I'm about to get off this mug. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for the likes and just chilling with me, man. I appreciate it. All right, I'll holler at you guys. I don't know when I'll be on. Definitely tomorrow at 9 on my break. I try to do this on my breaks. That way it don't affect my family time and shit. And that's why I be talking so like super fast on my break. And I know, I know. I've gotten comments like, "Man, I think that dude's on. That dude is just talking so fat." But I'm up against the clock, man. I'm trying to. I gotta slap that stuff together, and then I'm not trying to. I always want to be authentic, so I just want it to be in the moment. I don't believe in preparing all these things and trying to. I just want to be in the moment and see where it goes. And then I'm up against the clock. So like you're anxious and nervous, and you're trying to teach people, and you don't want to be leading people astray.